is a battle between barbaric criminals who seek to obliterate human life and decent people, all in the name of religion. Our vision is one of peace, security, and prosperity in this region and all throughout the world. Our goal is a coalition of nations who share the aim of stamping out extremism and providing our children a hopeful future that does honor to God.
President Trump sounding more official than ever, delivering a landmark speech in Saudi Arabia to the leaders of more than 50 Muslim-majority nations, wrapping up the first leg of his first overseas trip as Commander-in-Chief. Welcome to this special live edition of Waters World. I'm Jesse Waters. Also, during today's speech, President Trump calling on Muslim leaders to help combat the extremism emanating from that region.
America is a sovereign nation, and our first priority is always the safety and security of our citizens. We are not here to lecture. We are not here to tell other people how to live, what to do, who to be, or how to worship. Instead, we are here to offer partnership based on shared interests and values. There is still much work to be done. That means honestly confronting the crisis of Islamic extremism and the Islamists and Islamic terror of all kinds. We must stop what they're doing to inspire, because they do nothing to inspire but kill. Religious leaders must make this absolutely clear. Barbarism will deliver you no glory. Piety to evil will bring you no dignity.
Joining me now with his thoughts on Mr. Trump's speech and what it means for our future relations with the Mideast partners is former spokesman from the United Nations, Rick Grinnell. So that was a heck of a speech the president delivered today. Very, very pro-American. You have America first. We're always going to protect our safety. But at the same time, we're going to have these Muslim nations lead this fight against Islamic terrorism, because we're not going to do it ourselves. They're the ones that need to be the tip of the spear. Was that the message?
That was the exact message. In many ways, Jesse, this was different than President Obama and different than President Bush as well. What Donald Trump made clear is that American policies are going to be squarely about getting the region to clean up their own region. Mm-hmm. And I think that what he did today, by combining not only the speech, which was really a warning shot to religious leaders all across the region, but it was also something where he brought in trade. Yeah. He brought in one of the biggest trade deals ever in terms of military aid.
Yeah, so it's
when you combine the
$110 billion that we get benefits from that in terms of profits and in terms of jobs over here. But then that means the Saudis and some of their partners, they're going to take the military lead in combating not only the Islamic extremists in the region, but Iran. Iran was definitely the focal point. Didn't you also agree there too?
Yeah, I think the Iranian leaders looked at this speech and they didn't like it at all, because basically in Saudi Arabia you had more than 50 Muslim-majority nations trying to come together to really rally around the American president. Mm-hmm. Now, that is a juxtaposition with the last American president, right, who Iran felt closer to, and Saudi Arabia, remember, they didn't join the UN Security Council because the Americans, led by President Obama, were on the Security Council and they didn't want to be part of a hypocritical body. That's what they said. Right. Then the Saudis started canceling meetings. They didn't go to the Camp David meeting. They didn't go to other meetings in Washington. The Saudis did not want to deal with President Obama because he was becoming close to the Iranians.
Meetings with President Obama. I mean, that's just unbelievable. And probably they're not too happy with the fact that President Obama sent the Iranians, what was it, like how many billions of dollars for that nuke deal? Ridiculous. Let me play some sound.
Too much to count.
I know. Remember in pallets in the dark of night. Let me play you some sound of former President Barack Obama giving the apology tour. Roll the tape.
In America, there's a failure to appreciate Europe's leading role in the world. There have been times where America has shown arrogance and been dismissive, even derisive. The United States is still working through some of our own darker periods in our history. The United States will be willing to acknowledge past errors where those errors have been made. We've at times been disengaged, and at times we've sought to dictate our terms.
So there you had, well, President Bush before him, you're either with us or against us, and then President Obama apologizing for America and then retreating. What was President Trump's message today?
Well, one thing I want to point out from the Obama clips that you showed is that those were his first, one of his first foreign trips. It was very early on in April when he had just taken office. So this is what the world is seeing, is this apology tour from the United States saying, we're so sorry because, you know, you can blame us, basically. You can blame America for a lot of these problems. We were so bad.
Oh, that was about enhanced interrogation. That was about black sites. That was about the Iraq war. That it was America's fault.
Right, and if anything is going to inflame the region, it's going to be blaming the Americans, which is what many countries do as an excuse because they can't govern their people themselves.
Right.
And so I think what we have now is President Trump coming in and really bringing trade deals, as I said, but also talking about America and American values. And I think that's different. I have to say, when he looked at the religious leaders, and this is religious leaders across the region, not just in Iran,
right,
not just with one sect, but he said religious leaders must tell the truth and must tell their people, suicide bombers, so to speak, that they are going to end up condemned. I thought that was a very